So here's a mind map that shows the ADDIE process and how it helped me create my classroom and Schoology hybrid course, Intro to Electricity. The first thing to think about is the analyze phase, and that's where I start thinking of the 4th grade learning objectives, and these are the objectives that I know that my students have to master throughout this course. Now, first, in the design phase, I really need to think about the schedule. So I know that I have 2 units to teach, and there are 8 lessons altogether, and I have 10 weeks to teach them. So after doing the math, that tells me that I have about 5 weeks to spend on each unit. After I know my schedule, then I could start thinking about using Prezis for my lecture presentation slides. I will use Microsoft Word to create note outlines for my students and then upload those files as PDFs. And then I'll use iMovie in order to create highlights of my lectures. And that will help me structure my course so that I have resources for my students, and I'll also have assignments that I'm giving them, and I will have an online gradebook available to them. And that's the design phase of this process. Next, I go to the development stage, and that's where I develop these specific media assets. So here's an example of what I would create on Prezis. And in this example, for electromagnets, motors, and generators, I have vocabulary words with definitions, and I also have embedded a few YouTube videos to help teach these difficult concepts so that the students can really have a chance to understand what I'm talking about. Because for a lot of these 4th graders, electricity and magnetism is a really difficult concept. And the nice thing is that I can video capture my lecture and put it on Schoology, and I can also give them a link to the Prezis so that they can go back and take a look at the Prezis themselves and use that as a review. Here's an example of a note outline that I would be giving my students in class, and they could always have access to it on Schoology. And then I also have an example of a YouTube video that shows highlights from one of my lessons that I taught in class. And this is an easy way for my students to quickly remember what they learned. And those will all be uploaded into my files and link folder. And then in the assignment section, I will be promoting group collaboration, individual reflection, and I'll give them opportunities for test review to make sure that they are really understanding the material. And then once I find an application where I can create some online tests, I will also be including that into my Schoology page. And once those are ready and uploaded into Schoology, then I'm ready for implementation. And this is an example of the home page where they'll be able to find their assignments, their quizzes, their resources, and I'm really going to promote discussions among the class so that they can reflect on their experiences, what they've learned in class, real life experiences that they have with electricity and magnetism, and it'll be my chance to interact with the class as well. And I really want to try and keep them motivated throughout the whole course, so I would like to take as much part into these discussions as they are interacting with one another. Now, as the course is going on and the implementation phase is taking place, that's when I'll be doing formative assessments in order to make minor adjustments to the course as I see needed. But the big evaluation will come at the end in the form of summative evaluation when I give them a course evaluation so that my students could let me know how they felt about all the media assets and their assignments and their quizzes. That way I could make some major adjustments so that I can improve the program before I teach this class again during our next science rotation. That's how I use the ADDIE process in order to create my hybrid classroom and online course, Intro to Electricity.